Hi ho ho and welcome to a Boy Time feature presentation. I am your host, Harry Dubois, joined by Baby, as always.
Yes.
This is our little short mini podcast thing. We're going to be talking about Disco Elysium, a game that came out 5 years ago, something like that,
Like that.
around there. Me and you have both beaten it within the last couple of weeks. And so now we're going to talk about it. So
Yippee.
that's what we're doing here today. I guess I don't know how we're going to get started.
I'm not sure. This is the first of this series, I suppose.
Yes. So it's a little different than our usual podcasts, which have a structure. This one is kind of structured in that it is just one thing we're talking about. But I guess we just got to figure out where to start. I guess I could give a little intro for what the game is generally about as kind of a jumping off point.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess for those who have not played the hit game Disco Elysium,
There's going to be a lot of spoilers.
there's
That's
going
the
to be
first thing.
a lot of spoilers. But so I guess viewer discretion advice. I think both of us would highly recommend it.
Yes.
So go out and play it. If it's not necessarily your thing, I don't necessarily blame you because I was in the same boat. But it did eventually click, and now I would probably rate it one of my favorite RPGs of all time, a genre that I don't usually delve into a whole lot. But yeah, it's like in a. I don't even know what the setting is, like what comparable setting it would be in the real world. It gives off like French vibes. That's kind of the vibe I
It
get from,
is pretty European,
yeah, kind of European,
which
Western
makes sense.
European
I think the
maybe.
creators of the game. Yeah.
I think they're, yeah, they're somewhere like central, I think. And basically you start off and you're a detective that has basically been on a 2 week drinking and drug binge, to the point where your entire memory is gone. And so basically you wake up somewhat conscious, and basically your partner shows up, Kim Watanabe. Is that his last name?
Itsuragi. Watanabe is
Kitsuragi.
a fashion design clothing brand
Oh, okay.
or something like that.
All close enough. Yeah, your partner shows up, basically a detective from a different precinct, and he's like, "Why didn't you do anything about the case for like the last 2 weeks?" And so that's basically where the game starts. Is that there's this body that's hanging behind the hostel that you're staying in, and then you have to basically solve the murder. And I guess that's the main story of the game, is finding the murderer.
Maybe the least important mission of the game, honestly.
Yeah, probably. But that's the jumping off point,
Yeah.
because there's a whole lot going on in the world that you find yourself in, more than just the body that's been hanging behind this hostel for the last week or so. So I guess we can jump into everything else because yeah, because that was definitely, I think, the most interesting thing. I will. It might be more. It might be easier if we like start at the end and work our way back.
Yeah. This is going to be pretty unfocused, I think. But
Yeah,
you get the idea.
it's kind of hard to talk about this game because it is so big, and I think we've only played through it once. Or I'm gonna say that for
I
me.
have started a second playthrough, but I haven't
Okay.
gotten very far.
Okay, so neither of us have really gotten
Yeah,
everything.
I have 32 hours in it, so
Okay, I have 24, and that's split I tried playing it twice before, didn't get very far. So I probably have around 15 hours in my first playthrough, which I've heard
Mhm.
is ridiculously fast.
I would
But
imagine so, considering it took me like 28 to get through mine.
but that being said, I did do it pretty fast, but I was looking at all of the different endings that we could get before we did
Oh,
this
okay,
conversation.
cool.
And I did get the true ending, the true
Oh,
good ending, I
okay.
guess you could say.
I
I
don't know which one I got, so
Okay, okay. Well, I'll just ask you, did you see the giant praying mantis?
yes, I did.
Okay. Because that is the true ending, I
Okay.
guess. And I think I did kind of flub it because I did look at this just earlier today as I was kind of prepping for this, just being like, okay, well, what are we going to talk about? And I did see the praying mantis, but I think I goofed because apparently you can talk to it. I didn't talk to it.
Oh, you didn't talk to it.
I did not talk to
That
it.
was like a whole 20-minute thing.
Yes, I realize that. I realize that now. That was the whole thing. I thought because the way that it happened for me is that Kim was there and he pulled his little camera thing out that only had one
Mhm.
shot in it. And I don't know what I was supposed to do, but I'm like, no, don't take a picture. You're gonna scare it. And I thought, okay, well,
Oh, gotcha.
that'll do something. But then it just ran off, and I didn't get a chance to talk to it.
Yeah.
And
I
so
talked to it and then I took the picture and then it was fine.
okay, so I didn't talk to it, but that is the true ending is if you see the
Okay.
praying mantis, talk to it, and then I eventually recruited Kim to precinct 41,
Yes.
which is I think that is the good ending. The true ending is if you see
I
the
would
praying
assume
mantis.
so, yeah.
So we got we got the same ending. I'm assuming
But yeah, pretty much.
similar. But I imagine that we got there very differently. I mean, you have 10 more
Oh,
hours
absolutely.
roughly in your first playthrough than I did, I guess. But that is kind of indicative of good game design, and that
Yes.
if you really want to, the developers really have made a world of a lot of like complex characters and all these intricate storylines that are going on really behind the scenes. Because if you're like me, and I was interested in the case, and the case itself had a lot of twists and turns in it that I wasn't expecting, made me do things that I regret. Really made me feel bad. But
I was the opposite. I did not care about the case.
yeah. So I mean, like it has something for everybody, and then that does
Yes.
lead to a really great replay value. In that, like I've seen people put like 6 playthroughs down and like still feel like there's still something out there that they haven't seen,
Oh
which
yeah.
is crazy.
I never replay single player games unless it's like The Last of Us or something.
Yeah,
But I could see myself playing this like once or twice more.
I feel like I probably should because I feel like I goofed. Well, I definitely goofed because I wanted to talk to the praying mantis. I didn't realize you could until
Hmm.
I checked the ending thing, and then it was like, yeah, that's actually the whole thing. Like that, that explains the whole thing better than just talking to the actual killer, which I guess
Yes.
is the finale of the game.
Yeah, I think you have to play this game knowing that the journey is a lot better than the destination.
Well,
It's it's not going to pay off as well as you think it's going to if you just are like focused on getting there, I think.
I don't know. I really liked it. I really liked
Okay.
the
Okay.
ending. I just thought that guy was so interesting, and that like
Yes.
it's a character concept that I haven't seen before. And I guess we already said spoilers, but
Oh yeah, we're really getting into it now. So leave
basically,
if you haven't up to it.
leave now. But yeah, basically the killer is like this old. I think he's like a communist. Was he a deserter? Was that his thing?
He deserted from the communist forces during the collapse of the revolution, I believe.
Yes. And so basically, he's just been on this island off the coast of Revachol, and just I think he like just watches people through his scope, but he
Hmm.
just like is too afraid to Not even afraid. I don't know. It's just like he can't go home or to the mainland because he's going to get arrested by the non-communist government forces that basically wiped his regime or revolutionary force out. And so he's just kind of stuck. And so he's just watching the world go by through the scope on his sniper rifle, and until he eventually fires at the hanged man. And so that's the whole thing. But just
Super
talking to him,
sick.
it's really sick.
They
But
should have done like what's that one game where you play a sniper and you get to like see the bullet like
oh, uh,
trajectory.
Sniper Elite.
Yeah,
I wish
that
they
would have been
did
so
that.
cool.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just like I don't play a ton of detective games. I really do like the detective genre of storytelling,
Hmm.
especially movies and TV shows. So, like, this game was kind of right up my alley. I think what originally turned me off was that I'm like, oh, this is too wacky. This is too kooky. I don't care about, like, I think, like, maybe a little bit of it kind of fell into, like, XD drug humor at the very beginning, like with electrochemistry. I think my electrochemistry was really high or something,
Oh
and
yeah, mine was super low.
mine was too. But I think it was just like talking to me and like, oh, you gotta do drugs. I'm like, this is I'm I'm trying to solve a murder case here. I don't like being tempted. So I think it just took me a long time, and it took some like actually playing RPGs that are a little more accessible, because I don't think this game is especially accessible to like new to the genre. It's more accessible than say like the original Fallout games, but
Yes,
just in that it's a modern game and it has modern control schemes and UI that works and is somewhat intuitive.
I think this works better in Baldur's Gate when it comes to like camera movement and stuff.
I would agree. I would agree.
Like I get on Baldur's Gate and I'm like, this feels off. Like why can't I just like stick the camera to my guy?
That's true. That should be a thing.
It should be.
And I don't remember. I know that this game has changed a lot because the first time I tried to play it, you couldn't use WASD. It was
Oh really?
just
Okay.
point and click, whatever.
Yeah, I know this game's gone under like a lot of changes. This is the final cut. I
Yeah.
know the before the final cut there was not voice acted for every single line in the game.
Yes.
So
Yep.
there's a lot of points where there wasn't that, and then there was a whole thing where the owners kind of got their IP stolen by this bigger dev company.
Oh,
I
I didn't
don't know
know
the
that.
intricacies of that, but I know that the original creators of the game kind of got robbed,
Oh, interesting.
which is really unfortunate because this thing is fantastic. But
Yeah.
I don't know all the intricacies of that because honestly, I didn't want to get mad. So
True. Yeah, I do know. I don't know why, but this is like a trend when it comes to RPG games,
yeah,
especially like really kind of artistically driven RPG games. Like those original Fallout games, they may be impossible to run now, but like they are some of the best RPG games of all time. And then Bethesda, I think the company that made them went broke, and then Bethesda bought it, and now it's this giant thing.
yep.
Same with like Vampire, the Masquerade series, or even something like Prey. That was a thing way before, and Thief. Like all of these kind of RPG, kind of immersive sim type games, just they always go bankrupt, and I don't understand why. Because they get like a lot of critical acclaim. Like this game got a ton of critical acclaim. They even won, I think, Best Innovative Gameplay at the Game Awards, where they cited Marx and Engels as giving them their political education, which is funny.
Which I will talk about later.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I guess we could just dedicate an entire segment to the politics of this game because
I
it's
think it's
pretty
central.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, it is central.
I think if you take the politics out of this game, then the world building falls flat. And I think more games should take like actual real politic into building their worlds because it doesn't feel believable if you don't.
Absolutely.
Like I solved this case based off of the historical materialist perspective that the devs put into this game.
Mhm.
Like, I knew who to talk to and who to trust and who to stay away from because of all of that.
Yes.
So I guess we can get into like character builds and like what we did because
Sure.
that might help differentiate.
We can do that.
Because I immediately put all my points into rhetoric. Because
Okay.
going into this game, I knew that two communists made it, and I knew that politics was a part of a game.
Yes.
So I'm like, I'm gonna dive as deep into this as I possibly can.
Mhm.
I think I ended the game where it's like your little journal or whatever. I think I had like 43 communist dialogue options
Oh, I
and
didn't
like
I've not checked that.
two liberal ones and one moralist one or whatever.
Yeah.
But I dove so far into that, and the politics are really good. I think the humor is really good in it too because it
Mhm.
doesn't take itself too serious. And like the root concepts of things are very like real and true, and it's like, oh yep, this is how you would actually talk to someone like this.
Yes.
But then they get really wacky as you go on, and it's like just dogmatic garbage, and it's
Mhm.
really funny because they make fun of themselves for it.
Yes.
I got one achievement that's called Avowed Inframaterialist. 1.5% of players have it.
Oh.
If you go so far down the communist rabbit hole, you get a side quest where you can meet up with like other communists, and you go to like this book club, and it's just two like college nerds,
Mm.
and they talk to you about inframaterialism, which is basically they take like a character who I think is supposed to be Lenin, but instead of like
Oh, yeah.
having his groundbreaking theoretician stuff, they make him like some guy who invented like the theory that plants grow better the more evolutionary your people are.
Mm.
It's really weird.
Oh.
But yeah, it goes like really, really in depth on everything. I mean, even like no game does that, or no piece of media really
Nope.
does that, or has the balls to do that. Where it's like, if you take a historical materialist perspective, you can understand the entire history of Revachol. You can understand the entire revolutionary period. You can understand the politics between the union and the company.
Mhm.
All of that comes to light just through like the encyclopedia and the rhetoric options, which is really cool because that's the part where I dove in immediately.
Yeah.
It was just really great. Like that, I feel like you get the full breadth of the characters when you do that too, and you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
like shy away from it. So that was something completely unique that you'll probably not find in a game ever. I feel like Wolfenstein's the only other game that is like as blunt in its politic.
That's well, yeah, it's very blunt. I wouldn't say it's done as smart as this
It's not
game
done as
is.
smart, but it has a very good take on fascism.
Oh,
Like it
absolutely.
deconstructs the ideology perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah. It has the same vibe of like 80s action movies,
Hmm.
but instead of communists, it's fascists. And it's like
Yes.
such a breath of fresh air because it's like sometimes you feel bad about killing enemies in games. Like
Hmm.
I mean Last of Us 2 like does that, you know.
Yeah.
That-
To
And
varying successes. Some of
yeah,
it's just like torture porn, but some of
some
it
of
is,
it I know people like make fun of it, but having the enemies like call the people that you kill by
yeah,
their first
it's a
name
small
is
detail, but it's
it's
good.
small, but it's really great world building and it kind
Hmm.
of makes you feel bad. It's kind of like, well, you shouldn't name something that you're going to destroy because then you're going to feel bad about it.
Right.
It's kind of that same principle, but Wolfenstein just like, no, kill Nazis and have fun doing
And it's
it.
great.
And it's awesome. Like those games are fun. But yeah, it's obviously not going for the political depth that this game is. And it really, this game especially kind of gives you options to explore
Yes.
different political ideologies in a very smart, I'm going to keep saying smart, but I mean, I do think that a lot of care went into not just making stereotypes about different political ideologies where I don't feel like anybody necessarily is going to feel made fun of necessarily for any of their beliefs. I mean, I didn't play a free market guy because that's not who I
I'm
am.
tempted to do that, but I can't bring myself to do it
I
because
don't
I know
know.
there's achievements for going hard in all of the different
Yes.
ideologies.
Yeah. There's even like, well, okay, maybe if you're a centrist, you might get made fun of because the achievement
Oh,
for being
absolutely.
a centrist is world's most laughable centrist.
Yeah, I will say this game's take on centrism is absolutely phenomenal. It will
Yeah.
make fun of centrism so hard and just point out how blatantly stupid it is.
Yes.
It's really funny.
I will say that I did get some pretty. They were like some brown slacks, and I'm like, oh, what are these? It has like +1 and like moralism, and I didn't know what that was. I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, I'm just gonna wear these pants. And though, even though I was a communist the entire time, when I talked to the sniper at the end, because I was wearing the centrism pants, he was like, "You're a fake communist. I know it." I'm like, no, you don't
To be fair,
understand.
the guy at the end was very jaded.
Oh yeah,
I liked how they wrote him as like this was his one goal in life and it crumbled and he has nothing else to fall back on. So he's like literally collapsing with himself, which is
yeah.
kind of a mirror to what Harry is. And you kind of meet him and it's like,
Mm,
here's this ideal communist soldier that you want to become. He's just like, it's over. He's like, the material conditions for revolution are impossible. Like the entire working class has been betrayed by a bourgeois co-opted union against a, fascistic company.
yeah,
And he's just like, in such a deep mind rut that he's calling everything bourgeois, and it's like he called
yeah.
like the rock and roll music you listen to on the way over like bourgeois and stupid.
Oh
it,
yeah.
it gets to the point where he kind of just collapses in on himself. I don't know, it's brilliant writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game would not be nearly as good as it was if it did not play with like the politics as hard as it did. I
No.
mean, 3 hours in the game I was debating people over free market ideology, like hardcore. It was insane.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've never had an experience like this anywhere.
Mm.
But yeah, even just the side quests, like I got so sucked into this game immediately. It's like as soon as the game started and like I got Kim as my partner, I immediately like found a bookstore and like
Oh yeah.
did a 3 hour side quest involving some curtains that a lady didn't want you to go behind to like investigate a doomed financial district. Which it was just hilarious. The dialogue's really funny. I just started a new playthrough where it's like I put all of my points into physical attributes, so I'm just like
Mm.
this gigantic meathead. It plays very differently.
I'm sure. Yeah, I basically had the what is it, the yellow and the pink ones, which are like
Hmm.
your your physical well being, I guess. I had those as my lower ones, and then the blue and purple is high. And I went hard in on encyclopedia, which maybe was a bad
Yes.
decision.
No, it was a great decision
I know I kept
for me at
everything,
least.
everything had 2 paragraphs to say for itself. Like I don't care about
That's why
the.
it took 29 hours for me to beat it.
Well, I know it's just like I'd pick up. I would like interact with something, and then encyclopedia would be like success hard, and then it's like 2 paragraphs of like the history of this brand that made this specific item. And I'm like, I don't care about this. Is not going to help me at all. Except sometimes it does.
It
But
does. That's the thing.
yeah, but I'm like, I'm not reading this. This and maybe that's maybe why I don't gravitate towards RPGs and this type of game very
Well,
often because I
usually
don't like
I like
reading.
don't care about the world, but with this one, it's like they go so deep into it that it's very interesting. And when it's from this perspective, I am just drawn into everything,
Sure.
um, because it is like all interconnected, which is really cool. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're giving me 2 paragraphs, but I'm like, there's going to be some useful or interesting tidbit here that I'm going to use later, or I'm going to at least like it just helps build the world.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yes. It is very, very good at doing that. Just you know me. I skip
you
all
know
the
me.
I skip and I am bad at it. I'm not really drawn to story driven games the way I used to be. And anything that requires me to read, I'm like, I can't do it. Although I think I have recently discovered that I may or may not be dyslexic because just reading text is really hard for me. So I think that
Mm.
might be a part of it. Which, side note, maybe being going into history is the wrong thing to do if you are suspicious that
You
you are
don't
just
like reading.
the entire thing is reading. So it was very hard.
It's true.
So yeah, this game is not necessarily made for me, but I think adding voice acting was huge because when
Oh,
I first
absolutely.
played it, didn't have voice acting at all. I think just the intro bit where like you're talking to like your lizard brain or whatever,
Hmm.
that was all voice acted, and then everything else wasn't. And then it was yeah, no WASD. It was just kind of like inaccessible to a scrub like me who is a little bit meat-headed when it comes to the games I like. But yeah, but somehow it clicked, and I think it was like once the dam closed or whatever, and you can go over to the other side
Yeah.
of the city or whatever, the port. That kind of clicked, and everybody there I was interested in. I was talking to those drunks forever, just
True.
just them telling me all sorts of different stories. I forgot what that guy's name was. It
I
was
forgot. Um, I don't remember. It's something crazy.
yeah. I will say this game has a lot of the F slur in it. And did you notice that
It
it's only
does. Yes.
uncensored once? At least
Yes.
in my experience, it was only uncensored once, and it kind of
Hmm.
made me reel a little bit.
Whoa.
Yeah. But it was like, it wasn't like, I don't know. It wasn't like they uncensored it because that one was supposed to mean something like that one, like you're supposed to pay attention to it. I think they just uncensored it because it was the slang for cigarette.
Yes, that is what it was actually.
And I'm like, oh, okay. I get it.
Using the
But
true form.
yeah, it was just like, oh, wait, they said it. Like every single time, like everybody's throwing around that word throughout like
Hmm.
most of this game. Just talking to Kuno is just all that. But that one time they say it, I was like, well, kind of
Oh.
made me double take. But I don't know. What else is there to say about Disco Elysium?
Um, I don't know. The humor of it is really, really good. Like, there are points where it's just like so ridiculous that like I can't believe it goes there. I love having the different parts of your head when they talk to each other
Oh yeah,
because they contradict each other all the time.
yeah.
I also love that you can ask people for money. In my new playthrough, I, I went to the Wild Pines negotiator chick,
Oh
and
yeah.
I asked her for money, and my brain is like, you should like, you should yell it, like you need to like ask for money in a very particular way, and then like the other part of my brain cuts in and just says, yell as loud as you can. So I just shouted money at her, and it worked.
Oh yeah. I had something similar, and it was when you meet the whatever chick on the balcony. When you're first talking
Yes,
to her, I
yeah,
forgot her name. It's like Katya,
classe, but that's not her real name.
Classier, yeah. You're talking to her, and then like all of your senses are like telling you one thing, and I think there's like, I think it might have been a red check, and it was like 8%, but I tried it and succeeded. And then just my volition was like, everything that all of your other senses are telling you is a lie. Listen to me only, because you are being duped right now. Everything that she is saying is a lie. And then like for the rest of the conversation, like one of the emotions or something would say something, and then volition would come in and say, "You're being lied to," like every single time. And then when Kim would say something, he would say, "He's getting duped too. Listen to me." I'm like, "Whoa, this is this is weird."
It's really cool.
Yeah, it. And like once I started like listening to Volition, I'm like, wait, she is lying, like very obviously so. But like
Yeah,
everybody around me is confirming
you just
it.
become Dale Cooper. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's so cool. That was probably my favorite interaction in the game was that one moment. And then I did end up arresting her because
Oh, you did. Okay.
I did. Well, mainly because I'm like I don't I didn't know that Kim was going to be gone for the rest of the day. I was just like, Kim, maybe like put her in a holding cell or something in case we need to talk to her because she's a flight risk. I was playing it like a good cop.
Gotcha.
I don't
I
know.
was like, I was communist first, everything else second.
Oh, okay. Well, I
So
just,
like, person fleeing from a big corporation for stealing funds or whatever she did,
yeah.
not arresting her.
Right.
So I wonder, yeah, I guess what happened differently, because I didn't arrest her, and
I
then I got
did.
on the trail for Ruby, I think was her name.
Yes.
Let
Yeah.
her go because she was gonna kill me.
She killed herself for me.
Did she?
She did.
Okay,
And I tried to
interesting.
talk her down. Because you go under a building and then she has like
Yep.
some sort of like sonic device
Radio
that,
wave. Yeah.
yeah, like makes you unable to move. I destroyed it, and then as soon as it was destroyed, she just pulled out a pistol and put it up to her
Oh, I
head.
remember this.
And
Yeah.
I was like, "Yo, don't do that." And then like for a second, she was like, "No," and then she did it anyways.
Interesting.
And like I went back, oh, I don't want her to die.
Yeah.
So like I went back and tried it differently, and she still ended up killing herself. So I don't know what I was doing wrong,
Weird.
but
I do that 5 times because my health was so low. I only had one health bar, so if I got hit at all,
oh,
I had to heal or die.
oh,
Which I
wow,
didn't realize was a thing until I started my new playthrough, and now I have like 5 health bars and I can't die. But no, yeah, I let her go, and then I had to go back because the PMCs, like the private military people, were
oh
like
yeah,
fighting with the Union police, and then there was a shootout, and like 7 of them died.
oh, okay, that's different.
I don't know if that happened for you. I don't know if that was normal, but
Okay,
like all of the Union members died except for 2 of them.
oh, okay,
And
mine far less died for me.
yeah, 2 of the PMCs died, I think. And
Okay,
then the Classier lady left a note, like giving the ballistics of the shot.
oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, see, what happened to me was I got back to the Whirling Rags, and there was the PMC people, and they were going to start shooting the people that were, I guess, taking the blame for that guy's death. It was just those 7 guys and
Yeah.
the lawyer lady. And then I stepped in and I took a shot at the guy who was leading the scab picket line thing.
Oh, okay. I took
I
a shot at the weird sniper guy.
oh
Maybe that's why I missed and got everybody
well,
killed.
what was interesting, and this might have been different, is that I had a lot of info on that guy. Like I had done a lot of interviews about who the dead guy was, and
Hmm.
so I knew that that guy was the scab leader's
Yep.
brother, and so
Yep. I knew that too.
I was able to like talk him down enough, like got his confidence shaken enough to like he was faltering for a second, and in that falter I got a shot off. I
I
didn't end
missed my
up,
opportunity then.
yeah, I shot him, and then I think the sniper lady shot me, and kim Kim lets off a bullet, and the sniper guy like shoots a bullet through the guy's hole in his eye for
Mhm.
where like a little hole for his armor is. And then as I'm like bleeding out, he's trying to help me up. And then as he's like, because I had established trust with Kim enough, then I had like advantage on the roll or whatever. So I could say turn
Yeah.
around, and then he ended up getting them because that's the bad ending. The
Oh, that's
bad
an ending.
the bad
Interesting.
ending, well, it's not, I guess it's just an
Or you
alternate
just die.
ending,
Yeah.
where basically where Kim almost dies. And so then for the rest of the game, he's in the infirmary. So basically,
Oh,
you just have to solve, or, you got to get to the end by yourself without Kim. Or
interesting.
you can do it with Kuno. Yeah,
That'd be sick.
that's the alternate. I guess that's like the
I,
bad ending, I
I
guess.
gotta have Kim get shot next time so I can take Kuno with me.
I think there's a very specific circumstance.
I'm sure there is, yeah.
But yeah, there's an achievement for it. That's how I knew that it was a
Sick.
thing, because I was looking through the achievements, and it's like pretty rare that people got it. Let me see if I can find it. But yeah, that's the bad ending. But only two of the I think only one of the Union people died.
That's a
Everyone else
lot
got
better
them.
than mine.
Yeah, that's true. But then I was
I
limping the
got
rest of the game.
I got like all of them killed. It was one of those where I knew I messed up, but I wanted to see where it went.
Oh, yeah. That's true. I went back and were like, because I missed the shot on the guy initially, and I'm like,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
what's that going to change? It didn't change anything, but it made me feel better at least. Yeah, only 2.6 of the players on Steam have recruited Kuno as
Gotcha.
their partner. So,
That'll be my sole mission next time.
well, there you go. But yeah, I do. I guess kind of going back to the politics because this is more of a conversation about gaming at large and maybe just culture at large, and that it seems like people are averse to politics and art. And I think what they don't realize is that I think they love politics and art. It's just they're seeing the wrong politics and art.
People also aren't educated at all in politics, so they don't know what it truly means.
True, but
I think it's a combination of all of the things.
yeah. But I think that this game does something special, and that I think it makes different political ideologies accessible in a way that isn't just painting them blanket bad, except if you're a
Yes,
centrist,
which is true.
which is true. But
Or fascist, obviously, but you know,
is there even a fascist one? I think it's.
there is. Yeah, you can get fascist choices in dialogue.
Oh.
You can do it if you want, because the measurehead guy, the Union bodyguard,
Oh,
who's like this like super racist, you can
right.
like join his program, so you can become a fascist in this game pretty
Oh,
easily.
interesting.
Because I tried to like debate him out of being a racist, but it like ended up being like I have to join him to get through the gate. But then I just
Yeah.
punched him and he fell over really easily, despite me having no points in any physical attributes.
Really?
I don't know how that happened.
I don't know either. Yeah, I like did the race theory thought and then just deleted it,
Yeah, yeah,
which I don't know. I'm like, yeah, that feels gross. But
exactly.
but that's the thing. I also told one of the lorry drivers, I like kind of blackmailed him into giving me Ruby's information. And then
Oh yeah, I did that too.
he was like mad at me the rest of the game, and I was really sad because I liked him a
So
lot.
I did that, and then I tried to make up for it by doing brilliant poetry, and I failed my poetry check every time.
Oh.
I went hard in rhetoric and conceptualization, so I was like an art communist
Oh.
and not a cop like at all. But it was so sad. I ruined this guy's life, and then I spat some like really bad poetry at him.
Oh no. Well, I felt bad because I succeeded in poetry before
Oh
ruining his
no!
life. So we were like close, and every time he was like impressed when I was talking to him. And
No.
then every time after that, he was like, "Oh, you're the guy who made me a bad person." I'm like, no, I didn't mean it. I'm trying to
Yeah.
solve a murder and maybe a larger conspiracy that's put in place by a giant praying mantis. It's bigger than
Yes.
me.
It was pretty huge.
Yeah. I meant the the whole thing is bigger. Everything is bigger than me. I'm just a little guy.
Exactly. And that's what I love about it.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is great.
it's fantastic. I think again, like world building cannot be complete if you don't have a like a ground like politic that actually makes sense.
Yeah,
Obviously I'm biased, so I think a historical materialist vision of making a world is the best way to do it because you get to see the relations between all of these in a very real and economic like standpoint.
yeah,
Like you get to understand that like Revachol was a monarchy before the revolution, and then the revolution was there for like a week or two, and then it crumbled, and now it's like you're kind of ruled by this moral intern like huge government.
yeah,
And like there's suzerains of like all these gigantic companies and Wild Pines being one, and now you have this gridlock between the local union that in itself is corrupt. So it's just like a messed up situation all around, and you kind of you get to feel it because it is so real.
yeah,
Like this world building is so real, and I can even like pick out bits and pieces where I'm like, oh, this is this country, this is this country, this is this point in history. Like they're taking it and flipping it in a way that's like real. It makes you feel things, and it gets you really invested in the decisions you make.
sure.
and it gives you a read on all of the people you talk to, because all of the people you talk to have their own politic, and you can get into every single one of them,
Yeah.
which for me helped me make a lot of decisions and who I was trusting and what leads I was going off of.
I was just talking to everybody.
Or
I
like you go to like Everett, the
Oh
union
yeah.
leader, and he's like, break into someone's house for me. Like at first I didn't want to do that, and then you break into the guy's house and he's like, he's the crypto fascist guy, so
Yeah.
I just steal all of his stuff.
I found that guy's mug in the dumpster before,
Yeah,
and then like that mug was like, I feel at home in this person's house. So, like, oh, that's nice.
yeah. I was like, oh. Or when I went in the apartment buildings and I found a pair of like fancy shoes and I put them on, and then my rhetoric is like, these shoes are not working class worthy. What are you doing wearing this bourgeois garbage? And then I threw the shoes away.
Oh, that's true. I was just trying to look as drippy as possible, which was
Exactly.
not achieved because then I started finding pieces to the dead guy's armor, which
Yes.
saved me from the guy's shot. The guy that
Oh
shot
yeah, it
me,
did for me too.
I was wearing the
Yep.
armor. I don't know if you just die if you're not wearing it. I don't know what happens.
I don't know.
But
Why would
yeah,
you not wear the armor? You know?
it's sick. I was wearing a like a that I think I was wearing like the police investigators like black trench coat thing over it.
Hmm.
So it was like didn't look good at all. And I was wearing the gloves too, which did not look good.
Yeah, I think I was wearing the same thing because I mean the clothes actually do the RPG thing where they give
Yeah.
you different stats, and I'm like, okay, I need certain stats to be good. Otherwise, I would have worn the most ridiculous outfit possible.
Oh,
But
absolutely. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Is there anything else I wanted to say? I don't think so. Frick. I thought I
I don't
had
know.
something. I don't
I feel
remember.
like I have a lot of things too. It's a lot to talk about and go over.
It is.
There's so many little details in here that are just like fantastic.
Yes. I'm
I mean, the
very
soundtrack's gorgeous. I
Oh
love the
yeah.
soundtrack.
Didn't even talk about
Um,
that.
yeah, I
But
don't know. It really is like a very unique game in every aspect. I do want to play it more, which is something I don't usually do for single player games. But I don't know. It had just like such life to it, and
mhm.
you could tell the passion put into it, which is like incredibly rare.
Yeah.
Like I don't see that a lot anymore at all. But yeah, it's fantastic. The art styles are great. I mean, the graphics aren't like anything crazy, but you're
No.
more often than not looking at the right side of the screen when it's doing your dialogue options. Anyways,
Right.
you're not really focused on the actual like action going on in the game. But
I
I
actually
don't know.
think that the graphics are really well done in that it's like it feels like hand painted.
Yes.
Like you can see like the brush strokes and stuff.
Hmm.
Like that's all really well done. And like it might be like one of the best like opening areas of any like RPG I've seen. And that like
Yes.
you immediately understand the conflict that is going that is like central to the entire game because you walk out of the hotel, you take a right, and there's a protest going on between the union and like scabs.
Hmm.
And it's like, oh, okay, I understand the game that we're playing. So it like immediately introduces you to that aspect of the game, which is well done on a game development. Uh,
Yeah. It's just well done all around.
it
I feel like
is.
this is one where it's like you can't really replicate this.
No.
It's gonna be one where it's like the world building is so good that every other game I'm gonna play is gonna feel like let down. I feel like if you don't have the politics to like man up and actually write a story like that, it's gonna fall apart. Like Star Wars is
Oh,
meaningless if you take out the politics of it, and for the most part, it
absolutely.
has been taken out.
Yeah.
It's just cool guys in sci-fi areas now. I feel
Hmm.
like most things are like that. I mean, George Lucas's original vision was very political, but
Absolutely.
I mean,
He's
that stuff
super
just diluted so
anti-fascist.
quickly. Exactly.
Yeah.
It, I think that's what makes the game so fantastic,
Hmm.
and it's not something you're gonna find anywhere else. It has to come from an indie dev too. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's not saying that it's frowned upon for other studios, but it's like you can't market it. It's
No.
something where it's like you have to kind of hide it in there, otherwise, it's not really gonna get passed along. So
Yes.
I think the game is kind of niche, but like in a way, it's weirdly accessible. It's still funny. You can play it in a way where like you don't have to engage with that. I just don't
No.
think you're gonna get the full picture of it. Because I have like a you get an emotional connection to most of these characters, and there's a lot of well written characters in here,
Yeah.
whether you hate them or love them, and then all of that is literally tied into like the main political rhetoric of the game, because that's how
Hmm.
you get everybody's personality and choices and everything.
Yeah. It's very, very well done. And I think going off of your politics, I think the only other game that has kind of done this level of like of politicking and having it done well is Fallout New Vegas.
Yes.
There's one of the quests. It's like it's the water one. I don't know if you remember it. It's kind of specific.
He is.
I think it's like the NCR basically, if you're doing that route, it sends you out and it's like, hey, some of our farmers are sending in complaints that they're not getting the amount of water that we promised them. Can you look into it? And if you look into it, then you see that there are some like independent farmers that have been siphoning off some of the water to like actually feed their neighborhood and isn't just funding this like the war effort essentially.
Mhm.
And so then you basically have to make the call whether it's like, well, do you give it to the farmers that need it or do you actually just like follow through on what you're supposed to do? But on top of that, there's an added layer that like that you aren't the first NCR person to be sent out about this. The NCR sent two rangers, or maybe just one. They sent someone out to check it out before and they haven't returned back. And it turns out the leader of the farm that was siphoning from the NCR killed that ranger to cover it up. And so now it's like, okay, you either, turn this guy over, basically making the murder for nothing, and he feels like really apologetic about it. And you basically turn him over, make the murder for nothing, and also like basically, doom a bunch of people to starve because that's their one way of feeding themselves. Or you let the guys who are siphoning the water keep the water, but maybe, based on your actual beliefs, a murder is getting covered up and you're not doing anything about it. And it's like that's like real,
Good stuff.
it's good stuff. And like the thing that's great about it is that people still debate on what the right thing to do is, and there
Mhm.
isn't a right thing to do. And I think that this game is full of those types of situations where it's
Yeah,
just
I
like,
mean, you're a brain dead detective who's kind of like lost his mind, and you're kind of just trying to fight through this case, and like everyone around you is also like varying degrees of miserable, and it's like
yeah,
this. There's a doom spiral happening throughout a lot of this game, but there's like these little moments where it's like, oh my god, there's like tons of life in this, and it comes in the smallest moments, and it's really really cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, having read like Marxist stuff, like I understand all the concepts of this. I think it heightens it to an even higher extent because I understand everything that they're alluding to, and they're not shoehorning it, which is the best thing. Like Marxism as a science works very well for story building, turns out, because you get to understand the entire history of an area, and you get to understand the relations between worker and state
hmm,
through all of the different phases it goes through, and it's works on a way that's like so beyond what I thought could do. Like I've had thoughts about that before as I was like, as I read these things, I'm like, oh, this perspective would be really cool if it you take it to like a world building piece for like a TV show or a movie, but I haven't seen it done until this game. And it's like, whoa, people should latch onto this for more than just the creative output, but it really just brings this game up to an 11. Like it's crazy.
yeah, yeah. Very, very well done. I don't know what they're doing now, what the
I
developers
don't
are.
either.
It's
I don't even know
been
what the situation of this game is.
That's
So,
true. I mean, the last update, I think it came out. Collage mode came out March of last year. That was the last free update. No other posts since then. So I don't know. I don't know if this game is still being supported with updates. I mean, they've already done enough frankly. This game is full of
No, yeah,
content.
it's done. The game's the game at this point, and
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I guess the only thing would be like more localizations, even though I think this game has a bunch of languages already in
Chinese,
it.
Turkish, it goes through literally everything, I think.
Yeah, except for voice acting. Voice acting is just
Yes.
in English, but
Yeah.
everything else. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know
They
what
have
they're up to.
dyslexia-friendly fonts you can install on this now
They
too.
do, and I didn't like it because it like messed
Does
with
it change the
the.
width of the letters and stuff?
It does, and it kind of changed like the UI scaling a little bit. I'm like, I don't
Gotcha.
know how I feel about this.
Oh, I see. Yeah. That's interesting though. I like that.
Oh, I'm glad that they did it. It's just it messed with the scaling a bit,
Hmm.
so didn't end up keeping with it. But yeah, I do like that that is becoming an option, and I do like that font better. I don't know what it
It is
is,
cool. Yeah.
but yeah, that is Disco Elysium and our thoughts on it. Do you agree or disagree? I don't know how you would disagree. I don't.
How would you rate it?
How would you rate it? Let us know what you think about Disco Elysium in those hot comments down below. And if there's any other games or TV shows, movies that we might like based on this, let us know, and maybe we'll do a feature on it in the future. 'Cause,
I want to do these like once a month or once every couple months.
oh, okay, well, we can do that. But until then, we're signing off. Bye.